think you say, like, what are you really going to trust? Are you going to trust some sort of black box algorithm from some other site, or are you going to trust the thing that you can actually see and understand?
But do you accept that there are lots of engineers that are looking at the way that Twitter is built, and the lack of engineers, because so many have left, and are worried about the health of Twitter?
Well, I mean, there've been many of these people have predicted that Twitter will cease to function. Their predictions have not turned out to be true. You know, insert Mark Twain, saying, rumors about death are greatly exaggerated.
Let's go back 6 months.
I mean, we're literally on Twitter right now.
Right.
So it must work.
Let's go back 6 months and even further back than that. When you put that initial bid in, you then had a wobble. You kind of said, I actually don't want to buy Twitter anymore.
I mean, it really is quite entertaining. I mean, it's like soap opera, because when I first made the offer, the response was the board adopted a poison pill. So they were like, hell no, you can't buy Twitter. We'd rather die. We'd like chew on cyanide before being bought. That was their initial response.
And then you said, actually, I don't want to buy it.
Yes,
So
and then they said, no, you must buy us. Gun to the head, you have to buy us. I'm like, are you the same people who said you'd rather die than be bored? Doesn't that seem odd?
So I guess my question to you is, in terms of, you said that the reason was because of bots, because Twitter was filled with bots.
Well,
now, looking back at it now, was there a little bit of you that thought, actually, maybe I've overpaid. Actually, maybe I don't want to do this. I want to get out of this. Be honest.
Yeah, no. The problem was that the publicly stated user numbers were in excess of the real user numbers. I've
heard you talk about that.
Yes,
you
yes.
Talk about that.
Yes.
Basically, looking back at it now, was that the only reason that you wanted to pull out?
Yes. That was literally the issue. It's like let's say you buy a warehouse full of goods, and you're told that less than 5% of the goods in the warehouse are broken. But then you actually get the warehouse. You look into the warehouse, and it turns out actually 25% of the things are broken. You'd be like, that's not what you said.
So then you changed your mind again and decided to buy it. Did you do that?
I kind of had to.
Right. Did you do that because you thought that a court would make you do that?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, that is the reason.
Right. So you were still trying to get out of it, and then you just were advised by lawyers, look, you're going to buy this.
Yes.
Interesting. So you.
Yeah.
So you didn't actually want to purchase it, even when you said you were going.
Well, not at that price.
You were going to, really.
No, I mean, like let's say, I think the analogy is pretty close. Like, let's say, it's like there's a warehouse full of goods. They say the warehouse, less than 5% of what's in the warehouse is broken. And then you walk into the warehouse, you say, actually, it's 25%. So you might still want to buy what's in that warehouse, but probably at a lower price. Not buying the stuff that's broken.
So you didn't have an epiphany. You just thought, I'm gonna have to buy this. I might as well buy the bullet.
Yeah.
So then you walk.
It's not super complicated.
Right. I'm not sure you've said that before.
Oh, fair enough.
So then you came into Twitter.
Cue a whole bunch of court cases. You said this in the BBC interview, etc.
So you then came into Twitter with a sync. What were your first impressions?
Well, I thought, wow, this is a really nice office building. And
expensive.
Yes, a very expensive office building. Great decor. It's a lovely place. I mean, and definitely is spending money like it's going out of fashion, which it isn't quite going out of fashion yet. So, no, I mean, the gravity of the situation is perhaps not well understood. at at the point at which the company, the transaction closed, Twitter was tracking to lose over $3 billion a year. And had $1 billion in the bank. So that's 4 months to death. So this is your starting position. How would you feel? Pretty intense, you know.
You also had to borrow quite a lot of money and pay interest on that too.
Well, that's why part of why it was the $3 billion run rate. So, in rough numbers, a normal year Twitter would do, let's say, $4.5 billion in revenue, $4.5 billion in cost. I mean, it was really kind of like a non-profit. They'd run it at roughly break even. Now,
but that's not bankruptcy. You're not saving that company from bankruptcy. No, it's breaking even.
But then the issue is that if you then add $1.5 billion in debt servicing and have a massive drop in revenue, which we did, which was partly cyclic and partly political concerns and whatever. So revenue, call it dropped by over a third. It's not, and this is not just Twitter. Facebook and Google have also seen some significant advertising revenue declines. It's been a little higher at Twitter, but most of the advertisers are coming back. So I think we'll be back where there's a cyclic demand drop, which is still pretty significant. But in rough numbers, revenue dropped from $4.5 billion to $3 billion, and expenses went from $4.5 billion to $6 billion, creating a $3 billion negative cash flow situation, and Twitter having $1 billion in the bank. That's 4 months to live. So unless drastic action was taken immediately, this company's going to die and be owned by banks.
Let's talk about that drastic action, because almost immediately you sacked a lot of Twitter workers. And I spoke to them. It was very easy to speak to them when it happened. And the way they said, pretty much everyone said, is that it felt quite haphazard.
It was.
And it felt a little bit uncaring.
I wouldn't say uncaring. The issue is like the company's either going to go bankrupt, or if we do not cut costs immediately, this is not a caring, uncaring situation. It's like if the whole ship sinks, then nobody's got a job.
Right.
Yeah.
But a lot of people just lost their jobs like that. And they weren't. They didn't even know they'd lost their jobs often. They were just
so let me
out
ask
of
you,
their accounts.
what would you do?
Well, you might want to give someone some notice. I mean, you might. By the way, I'm not running Twitter, but
I know, but
this is the criticism, and this is what staff members say. A little bit of notice,
No, I understand. You have 4 months to live. 120 days. In 120 days, you're dead. So what do you want to do?
How much are you worth?
I don't know.
But we're talking about around the $200 billion mark. I mean, it's not quite. You're framing it in a way that it had a few months to live. You're quite a rich man.
I sold a lot of Tesla stock to close this deal. I did not want to sell the Tesla stock.
Okay. Do you have any regrets on the way that some of the staff were let go?
I mean, people were given 3 months of severance, some cases more. So, but like I said, the companies need to run on their own cognizance, and it's not so easy for me to sell stock as people might think. I have to sell stock during certain periods. I can't sell stock during other periods. So there are only brief windows where I can sell Tesla stock. And then this is often taken as some lack of faith in Tesla. And in fact, the Tesla stock sales caused the Tesla stock to plummet, which is not good.
Do you think those two were connected?
Well, the people couldn't parse the difference between I'm selling Tesla stock because I've lost faith in Tesla, which I haven't, or that it's desperately needed for Twitter.